Steve, you played 3 seasons for John Harbaugh. He essentially, I think, recruited you to come to Baltimore.
Yeah, he did.
Your initial thoughts?
Man, it's surprising, but understand when you have a coach that's 63 years old, been there for 18 years, man, we hate to say it, but all things come to an end.
Time's undefeated. But oftentimes, you know this, Steve, when there is a head coaching change, and we know this is different for the Ravens because they don't do it very often, but in a lot of instances in a lot of buildings, what are they looking for after they let go of a coach? The opposite.
Opposite.
Right? So maybe they are looking for somebody that's the opposite of the way John operates. I wanted to ask you about loyalty. This is something that I was having some discussions with a couple of people around the league after this news broke. I was always under the impression there's a private relationship between John Harbaugh and Steve Bisciotti.
Yep.
He reported only to Steve Bisciotti. He did not report to Eric DeCosta. It was directly between head coach and owner. There was never really going to get anything out between their conversations. But the only time I was told they were most likely going to part ways is when there became an opportunity where one of them presented a change to the other and they didn't want to make that change. Now, my understanding is part of this was about Todd Monken and Steve Bisciotti wanting to move on from Todd Monken and John Harbaugh not wanting to part ways with his coordinators. Zach Orr as well. I don't know if he was essentially on, it was more about Todd Monken. What happens in this league, and you know this, there are many head coaches that are fired because of the loyalty to their staff.
Yeah.
Right? They will not turn their back on their staff.
But there are a lot of times when the poop hits the fan, coaches sacrifice
100%.
people on their staff.
100%. And that certainly happens. And
Right.
I would say this.
Yeah.
I got a text or two today from other coaches saying, bravo, John, if this is the way it happened. In the coaching circles, if you're loyal to the guys that are with you, Gary Kubiak was one of those guys that there were times where guys on his staff were going to, owners wanted to make a change and he just dug his heels in and said, there's no way I'm getting rid of this guy. You are highly respected in the coaching world if that's the way you think. Is that the type of guy John is?
I believe, yes, that's who he is.
The evidence kind of proves
However, I also think when you are somewhere for 18 years,
that. Of course.
you're going to do some things that you said you would never do. And the reason I bring that up is when you look at the John Harbaugh and his lineage and what has transpired in Baltimore, there are instances when you were talking where my mind was going, but changing of defensive coordinators at times. Right? Some defensive coordinators who are doing a really good job. And so it's always been parting ways, right? It's a mutual agreement to part ways. But that's the nice way of saying, like, hey, it was him or me, right?
Yeah. And this was not mutual parting ways, by the way, between
no.
John Harbaugh and the Ravens. It was not. And
No.
if you wanted to have it put into clear words for you, just read John Harbaugh's statement and read Steve Bisciotti's statement. Right, Steve? They were both put out pretty closely to another. Steve Bisciotti bluntly said, I have decided to part ways with John Harbaugh.